you talked about how you grew up with Sangre de Toro, that famous great marketing. You have a little bull on the neck of the bottle, as I did as well. And you talked about how they made a name for themselves in the Penedès region, Catalonia, with international varieties. And now they sort of, they still make those wines, but they're really focusing more on the indigenous varieties and this project, as well as climate change. What is it about this family that seems to reinvent themselves with every generation? What was there something that you found that made that possible?
I always found Miguel Senior very serious and quite studied. He always had rehearsed answers, and I have a tremendous respect for him. But sometimes I want to sort of chip away of that sort of exterior. And I've known Marimar when I was working in the States, and she was always very spontaneous and open. And I find that also with Miguel Jr. is that the passion, is really there. They are very, very, very smart family. They're very qualified and they're very smart, and they surround themselves with very smart people. They remind me in many ways of the Perrin family, which is actually why we're going on to next. So it was not meant to be a segue, but it is, in that to keep the family traditions going, you really need to think about it carefully. In the book, I quote a Harvard business study that says that most businesses fail by the third generation, in fact, more than 80%. And in the wine business, when you've got issues of inheritance and maybe too many family members to inherit too little land, or you've got to try and find jobs that work for everyone's skill set, it's really, really tough. So my hat goes off to people like the Torres family and the Perrin family, and I can think of a lot. A lot of them are members of the Prima Famille Vini, and
not to mention your family.
And our family, yeah.
We'll get to that too.
There's lots of us. But so, chapeau, as we say in French. And I think it's intelligence. And also, I must have to say, if there's anyone who's in a family wine situation, succession planning. And we've just gone in family during lockdown, we took that time to really do the succession planning with us. Sometimes it's quite painful. Sometimes there's a lot of discussions because it's not exactly how people want things to pan out, but it's so important and it has to be done. And well, I'm looking at this photo now of the Perrin family. In the middle, you've got Francois and Jean-Pierre, two brothers who get on really well. And between them, they have 9 children, and they are, 7 children, and they are an amazing family. And I just had to tell you a story about that before we get on to taste the Miraval.